How did one woman rise to power and reshape an entire nation against all odds? This is the story of Margaret Thatcher, the grocer's daughter who became Britain's first and only female prime minister. A figure so formidable they called her the Iron Lady. Born Margaret Roberts in 1925 in the small town of Grantham, she wasn't destined for politics. Her father, a local shopkeeper and Methodist preacher, instilled in her the values of hard work, self-reliance, and thrift. These weren't just childhood lessons. They became the very bedrock of her political philosophy. From an early age, Margaret was ambitious and academically gifted, earning a scholarship to Oxford University to study chemistry. But science wasn't her ultimate calling. The world of politics beckoned, a world dominated entirely by men. After graduating, she married Dennis Thatcher, a successful businessman who provided the stability and support she needed to pursue her political dreams. She ran for parliament twice and lost, but she never gave up. In 1959, she finally won a seat as the Member of Parliament for Finchley. Her journey had begun. Over the next 2 decades, she steadily climbed the political ladder within the Conservative Party. She was known for her sharp intellect, her meticulous preparation, and her unwavering conviction. She didn't just want to participate in politics, she wanted to fundamentally change it. In 1975, in a move that shocked the political establishment, she challenged and defeated the incumbent leader of her own party, Edward Heath. Margaret Thatcher was now the leader of the opposition. It was during this time that a Soviet journalist, attempting to criticize her tough stance on communism, dubbed her the Iron Lady. It was meant as an insult, but Thatcher embraced it. It perfectly captured her resolve. In 1979, Britain was in turmoil. The country was crippled by strikes, high inflation, and a sense of national decline. It was known as the Winter of Discontent. The public was desperate for a change, and Thatcher offered a radical vision. She promised to curb the power of the trade unions, privatize state-owned industries, and unleash the power of the free market. On May 4th, 1979, she walked into 10 Downing Street as Prime Minister. Her time in office was nothing short of revolutionary. Thatcherism, as her policies came to be known, was a bold and often brutal prescription for Britain's ailments. She took on the powerful trade unions. Simultaneously, she began a massive program of privatization. British Telecom, British Airways. British gas industries that had been owned by the state for decades were sold off to the public. She championed homeownership, introducing the right to buy scheme, which allowed millions of people living in council houses to buy their homes for the first time. This created a new class of property owners and fundamentally altered the social landscape of the country. On the world stage, Thatcher was a force to be reckoned with. She formed a powerful political and ideological alliance with U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Together, they presented a united front against the Soviet Union, a partnership that many believe hastened the end of the Cold War. Her leadership was tested to its limits in 1982 when Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, a British territory in the South Atlantic. Against the advice of some, she made the decisive and risky choice to send a naval task force to reclaim the islands. The swift and successful campaign resulted in a surge of patriotic support for her at home and cemented her reputation as a strong and resolute leader. It was a defining moment of her premiership. However, her policies were deeply controversial and created deep divisions in British society. While the City of London boomed and a new generation of entrepreneurs flourished, traditional industrial areas went into steep decline. Unemployment soared to levels not seen since the Great Depression. Critics argued that her policies created a more unequal and individualistic society, sacrificing community for the sake of the market. The introduction of a new flat-rate local tax, known as the poll tax, was wildly unpopular and led to widespread protests and riots. This tax proved to be her political undoing. It was seen as fundamentally unfair, and her refusal to back down alienated many within her own party. By 1990, her authority was waning. After a challenge to her leadership, she was persuaded by her cabinet colleagues that she could no longer command a majority. In a tearful and dramatic exit from Downing Street in November 19, her 11-and-a-half-year tenure as Prime Minister came to an end. Margaret Thatcher left behind a Britain that was unrecognizable from the one she had inherited. She had crushed the trade unions, privatized vast swaths of the economy, and redefined the political landscape. To her supporters, she was a savior who halted national decline and made Britain great again. To her detractors, she was a divisive figure who dismantled the welfare state and created a harsher, more unequal society. There is no simple verdict on the Iron Lady. She was a conviction politician who never wavered. A leader who was both admired and reviled, but never ignored. She changed her party, her country, and in many ways, the world. Love her or loathe her, Margaret Thatcher's legacy is undeniable. She proved that one person, armed with unshakable belief and an iron will, can indeed reshape a nation. What do you think was her most significant impact? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this journey into history interesting, please like this video and subscribe for more. See you next time!